On today's Two on Your Side town hall, Kathy Hochul continues to distance herself from her predecessor in the governor's mansion in Albany. What she had to say about Andrew Cuomo today. And a major political U-turn in the race for City Hall, why a well-known Buffalonian is now washing his hands of a mayoral candidate he once publicly supported, and why he says he's encouraging others to join him. Plus, we thought this year might be different, but it appears COVID-19 is continuing to impact this football season in a big way. Adam Bonini brings us up to date on what's going on over at One Bills Drive. And hi there, everybody. Thanks for being here on the Town Hall this Wednesday. I'm Kate Welshofer. Michael is off today. So as always, the number to text us your questions and comments right at the bottom of your screen, 849-2220. But we want to start this half hour with updates from Albany concerning new Governor Kathy Hochul. The Western New York native became the first woman to serve as governor when she was sworn into office yesterday, replacing Andrew Cuomo after his resignation. And we know a big focus of her first day in office Tuesday was outlining her priorities for office, and those included things like battling COVID and providing relief to those affected by the pandemic, as well as focusing on transparency and ethics. And today we got to hear more from Hochul as she expanded on her administration's major issues. And Kelly Dudzik is joining me now to talk more about that. And Kelly, you listened to the governor in a few different interviews today. Did the national audience hear anything that we hadn't heard yet here in New York?
Yeah, Kate, the governor made the rounds today on NPR, CBS, and MSNBC all this morning, and she reiterated and expanded on what she said yesterday. And while we certainly know who she is here in Western New York, this was a chance for the rest of the country to meet her. One of Hochul's big themes is transparency. On MSNBC today, she said that it isn't hard. You just have to get the information out there and address it. This includes a zero-tolerance policy for workplace harassment. She was asked by several media outlets today about the dynamic between herself and the former governor.
I determined early on that the governor had his own way and I have my way. It's no secret that we are not close for the last 7 years. We actually run separately for governor and lieutenant governor in the primary. So that all being said, everyone knew that. Well, what I've done as lieutenant governor is take the messages and learning from what other people are doing all around the state. I've been to all 62 counties every year, so I spend very little time in the rooms where this whole culture was festering.
The governor went on to say she's cleaning house and fired the people named in the AG's report concerning the sexual harassment allegations, the people who were complicit. So she's promising a big culture change in Albany and that zero tolerance policy, Kate.
So the pandemic, of course, continues to be a top priority across the state, across the country, but particularly now as we're getting closer to the new school year starting in New York. Are we getting more of a sense of how she came to the decision to announce a mask mandate for schools?
Yeah, so yesterday the governor announced that universal mask requirement in all schools across New York State. That's for all public schools and all private schools. She's also starting back to school COVID testing programs and is looking into potential options for mandatory vaccines for school employees. She talked about how she's making those policy decisions and what her leadership style is like.
Really, there's just some things in life that I call no-brainers, but I did consult. My approach is consult with people who are involved in something that's going to affect them. I met with the leadership of our state unions, the school boards, school superintendents, school administrators, various immigrant groups, and all the stakeholders I could think of. I did a call with them before I even took office. I got their opinions, but I'm decisive. Give me the data, give me the input, talk to Dr. Fauci. This makes sense for New Yorkers, and I'll take the heat. I've been, you get elected as Democrat in the most Republican district in the state of New York a decade ago. I've been in the line of fire a long time, so okay. I believe this is right because it's going to protect our children and protect the school environment. That's all I need to know.
Governor Hochul also mentioned that she's talked with New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio about the vaccine requirement for staff members in all New York City schools. She says she thinks that makes sense and that he talked to her about it beforehand. De Blasio and the former governor famously did not get along. And it appears Governor Hochul has made her decision about who will be the next lieutenant governor. That's her old job. The Associated Press is reporting today that State Senator Brian Benjamin, a Democrat from New York City, is her choice. Hochul's office announced late this afternoon that she'll be making a special announcement with him tomorrow at 1 p.m. Kate.
Learning a little bit more every day as we go here. Kelly Dudzik reporting for us tonight. Kelly, thank you. So we're going to turn now to the race for City Hall. 68 days from now, Buffalo will vote for the city's next mayor. Byron Brown is running a write-in campaign, fighting to keep his seat after India Walton beat him in the Democratic primary. So few expected him to lose that race. But now that he has, some prominent Western New Yorkers have been contributing to his campaign, including controversial developer Carl Palladino. But there have been some changes in that relationship. Investigative Post reporter Geoff Kelly has been following this race very closely. He's back on the town hall to talk about it tonight, including some important updates in what is a very high stakes race here. Geoff, we're glad that you're here. And I want to back up for a second to June to start off. After Byron Brown lost the primary, back then, Carl Palladino tried to rally the business community to support his write-in campaign. Brown said that he did not want his support. He wouldn't accept his support. So you spoke with Palladino earlier this week. What did he have to say, and where do things stand now between the two of them?
Right, and after Brown disavowed Palladino's offer of support back in June after the primary, Palladino went quiet for a couple of months until this week, when he called to say that he is finished with Byron Brown. He will not support his write-in campaign. It was kind of a conversation. He sort of wished a pox on everybody's house. He certainly is no fan of India Walton either, but he said that he will not support Brown's re-election campaign.
So it's kind of an about face here. So you have to wonder, Geoff, what has happened in the last 2 months?
You know, it's not totally clear. He was stung, certainly, by the mayor's very public disavowal, saying that I will not seek nor accept help from Palladino. But he went further than that. He had criticism of Brown's deputy mayor, Betsy Ball, who was the architect of the sort of failure of a primary campaign, and who he says has alienated some of Brown's best people, who I should note deny this. But largely, he just seemed to be finished with the Brown administration.
So is he sort of finished, period, then? Because you said he's not supporting India Walton, so then what is he doing?
Not clear. I think he has suggested that maybe somebody else will get into the race that he could support, but it seems a little late for that.
Yeah, certainly. And we mentioned earlier that Brown indicating that he wasn't interested in Palladino's support. And it appears that he is trying to distance himself from Palladino. They're sort of distancing from each other, though Investigative Post's reporting has documented their working relationship over the past year. So this is politics, Geoff. So do you think that Palladino, in a way, slamming Brown could actually help the mayor? Could there be some strategy at work here?
It might. It certainly helps. The mayor's campaign will certainly, I would imagine, would seize on this and say, look, see, we're not close. He's not our friend. But as you point out, we also have a piece this week in which we sort of document the decade-long detente between Byron Brown and Carl Palladino and his companies. They have worked together for the last 10 years, and just 2 months ago, Carl Palladino was in fact trying to raise $1 million to fund this write-in campaign. So, funny things happen in politics, that's for sure.
That's certainly an understatement. Whatever you can say about this race, Geoff, it's certainly not boring.
No, that it is not.
Geoff Kelly with Investigative Post, covering this mayoral campaign closely as we inch closer toward November. We always appreciate your perspective, Geoff. Thanks again for joining us tonight.